is Amanda from Albany Mountain Homestead, and I'm getting ready to make a quick chicken pot pie with a cheddar biscuit topping. Now, I recently canned some chicken legs and thighs along with some frozen vegetables and in a chicken broth. This particular can didn't seal properly, so I'm going to go ahead and make chicken pot pie today. And so in order to get that thick gravy you're looking for when you're making a chicken pot pie, you need a base, which is, for me, going to be 4 tablespoons of butter, and I've got it already started in the pan and getting it really hot, so it's starting to sizzle right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 4 tablespoons of flour, and this will make a roux. You want to cook the flour and butter just a little in order to, it helps to get rid of that flour taste when you let it cook a little bit. And I'll also be taking you through and making the cheddar biscuit topping. But if you were, if you were making this, say, from a rotisserie chicken, leftover pieces of chicken, and then you just get a, the dollar package of mixed vegetables, you could do the same thing. I use a chicken bouillon as my broth base, and so you don't have to have your own canned goods to make this. Alright, so to the roux now I'm going to add 2 cups of chicken broth, which mine was made when I was canning, so, but if you can use the Swanson's chicken broth. Okay, so now that this is getting to be more like a gravy consistency, you want to allow this to get kind of on the thick side, because your vegetables will have extra juice, and I would suggest, if you get frozen vegetables, pop them in the microwave for a few minutes or heat them up on the stove to allow them to release some of their liquids, so that when you add it to your gravy, that you're not going to end up watering it down too much and have to cook it longer. Okay, so I've had this going for just a few minutes to allow it to get as thick as I like it. And I am going to go ahead and add just a little bit of pepper and salt. Mix that in. And this is on a medium-high heat. So this part can come together like 15 minutes. And it's only going to take another few minutes to put your biscuit topping together. And then this will be ready to put it in the oven, and it doesn't take very long to cook, as long as it takes just to cook the biscuits, because all of this is already pre-cooked. Okay, so homemade biscuits used to really intimidate me, and what I have discovered is it's a trial and error. You practice a few times, you'll figure out what you like and what you don't like about your recipe. And if you start with a very basic recipe, which I have adapted to my liking, but my original recipe came from Dining on a Dime cookbook by Tara, and I highly recommend the book. She shares a lot of great recipes, simple, easy, fast to put together, though this whole recipe isn't all hers. Just I started out with the baking powder biscuit recipe. So that being said, the original recipe calls for margarine, which is cheaper, but we like to use butter, or sometimes I'll use half and half depending on what I'm going for. And so in my bowl here, which this is a double recipe because I'm also going to cook biscuits for my family, cheddar biscuits. So some of it is for the pot pie and the rest is for the family. And so, okay, 4 cups of flour. And in the bowl here, I have 2 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of the garlic and herb seasoning, and 5 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm going to put that in there and mix that around a little bit, get it well incorporated. Now, again, the original recipe calls for milk, but if you want to switch it out with a buttermilk, that's fine. If you don't have buttermilk and prefer a buttermilk biscuit, there's a little trick where you can take milk and add a little bit of lemon juice and let that set for a few minutes, and it'll kind of clabber a little bit and give you that buttermilk taste and texture that you're looking for. Now, in my cheddar and garlic herb biscuits, I also like to add a little bit of parsley just to give it a little bit of color and make it more inviting for your biscuit topping. I think that's about roughly a tablespoon. And now we're going to cut in the butter, which I cubed up, and I tossed it in the freezer to give it a chance to stay nice and firm. You don't have to have a pastry cutter to do this method. You could do it by hand, you could do it with a fork. It's up to you and your preference. My hands don't work as well as I'd like them to, so I'll just use this to help me along. And again, this only takes very little time to put together. It's not a long process or complicated. I think many times we overcomplicate it, thinking that from scratch is harder or takes longer somehow. But really, once you've practiced a recipe a few times, you get the hang of it. And you know what you're looking for in the textures and the looks. So like right now, I'm trying to get the biggest globs of butter kind of down into smaller size bits instead of these bigger chunks. Now some people want to like put their biscuits out on some flour and, you know, fold it a few times and use a biscuit cutter and make your, you know, make all your individual biscuits. To save time, what I end up doing is making more of a sticky biscuit dough, and I'll just drop the biscuits right on my baking sheet or in my other recipe. Butter was kind of hard to break up. I'm getting tired. Oof, maybe I shouldn't have put it in the freezer. But it helps make a flakier biscuit. Alright, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to preheat my oven to 450. Okay, before adding your milk, we're going to go ahead and add in the cheese. And this is about 1.5 cups. If you like more cheese in your cheddar biscuit, go for it. Right now is the time where you can move and work your dough the most. Once you add your milk, you're gonna then not want to mix near as much because you don't want to create those hard rock biscuits that everybody says they, you know, that they fear they're gonna get. So this is your time to do all your mixing. Get everything well incorporated. Alright, so next, this is going to be my buttermilk mixture. I have 2 cups, which is just the milk with the lemon juice, and I'm creating a well, and I'm going to pour most of the milk in, give it a few stirs, and then decide then if I need a little more milk or I'm good. And you can also brush your biscuit with any leftover buttermilk you might have. All right, so I'm going to say I put in about 1.5 cups of milk right now. And then I'm just bringing the flour in from the outside into the milk. And sometimes, depending on your weather, you know, conditions, if it's extra dry or if it's, you know, lots of rain, moisture in the air, you may have to use actually more than your 2 cups. So we'll see where I'm at. So again, just kind of not trying to over stir. You want the dry flour to be incorporated. I'm going to add a a little more. Now this big spoon that I use, this is generally what I use to also scoop out my biscuit dough onto the pan. Just give me a little bit more. Pretty sure that's about 2.5 cups now, maybe 2 3/4. And we're getting there, where all the flour is now damp. And you don't see dry flour. And there you go. I'll bring it up closer. Alright, so I put my pot pie mixture in a pan, and now I'm just gonna take some scoops of dough. Just kind of drop them on there. And that is going to be your biscuit topping. I'm going to get this all out on the pan, and I'll bring you back in the next moment. Shh. Okay, so here we are, the last few biscuits now. And as you can tell, this double recipe makes quite a bit, depending on what size biscuits you're going to make. So we've got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, probably 23, I'd say a medium-sized biscuit. Unless you're thinking this is more like what some people call like the cat head biscuits, which are bigger ones, if that's what they look like to you. So now I have some for extra to go along in case people want that. And now I'm just going to give them a little bit of brush with just a dab of milk to help them get nice and golden in the oven. This is a trick that I actually learned from Mr. Charles at Old Alabama Gardener channel. This is something he recommends you do. And again, you know, making a recipe your own, you know, you start with a basic one, and then you can look at others and then decide, you know, if you really like it as is and that's it, you're in love, keep using it. And You know, if it isn't exactly what you're looking for, then, you know, change one or two of the ingredients and see if that results in something of what you're looking for. And I will say that, you know, the dining on a dime recipe with the margarine, I think that baking powder biscuit recipe makes a really good dumpling for chicken and dumplings. So I don't always do it the same way for every recipe. So, all right, we're gonna put this in the oven and I'll bring you back when it's all done. Okay, so I just got these out of the oven and let them rest for a minute because they're gonna be too hot to eat or handle anyway. And so just showing you here, a lot of them got nice and golden brown. This one here is a little light, but my husband actually prefers a more underdone biscuit. And so that would be his favorite. It took about 21 minutes to cook these, and the higher time likely has to do with the extra moisture content. Like I said, I made a sticky dough, it wasn't a dry dough. So it takes a little bit longer to cook. This one here actually took only 13 minutes, maybe 17 total. I can't remember if I added time to that or not. So anyway, here we go. And so now this is ready to serve. Not that much biscuit there, and some veggies and gravy and chicken to go with it. And then just to give you an idea of the biscuit, and there you go. Nice and moist and fluffy inside. Ready to eat. And if you like the Red Lobster cheddar biscuits, these come pretty close, and it's a favorite in our family. So I hope you'll give it a try and let me know how it goes, and looking forward to reading your comments and answering any questions. Feel free to share your recipes, and that is exactly how this homestead community works. We all share what we know. Everybody's a little bit different, everybody's style a little different, but all in all, we just want to share what we know and hope others will enjoy it too. Thank you. Take care. God bless.